Hi everyone, I'm so happy that you're here to join me for the Way of the Animal podcast. Okay, welcome back everyone. We took a little impromptu break there. It's still hard to say. Unfortunately, we lost one of our dogs about 10 days ago. And it's been a little bit challenging in our grieving process, so we just haven't been able to focus and bring ourselves together to be able to do a podcast. So we're back again. I think we were going to talk about fear.
I think that was what we're planning.
It came up because our dog got sick before they went, so we had a bit of time to realise that something was coming. And for me, it sparked off this fear of I didn't know how I was going to move forwards without her.
I think fear for a lot of people boils down to that. I mean, there's obviously the fear of, heights or falling or, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Spiders, lions and tigers and bears. But there's the fear of action, the fear of moving forward, the fear of moving from one thing to the next is like a really common thing. So like for you were talking about it being a bit more of being in that sort of grieving, sad place and being almost scared of moving out of it, even though where you're at isn't a comfortable place. And I think that'll resonate with a lot of people in the, not being happy at work or not being happy in your relationships and sitting there unhappy. But it's kind of that devil thing, isn't it? It's the I don't want to move forward because I know what this is. It's not great, but I know what it is. And I don't know what the next thing is. And
you think as well, like you end up like that fear, like for me, it was like fear of future. Yep. And, we're meant to live in the present moment. So the fear of future probably is like a not helpful way to be looking at things. I think it builds the fear before you even live it.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's one of the things with fear, isn't it? Fear is you're afraid of a possible outcome.
Yeah.
So you're not actually in the moment. You're afraid of what could happen. And
then you end up focusing on it and it happens. Do you know what I mean?
It. Or you get paralysis through fear and that sort of thing. I think, interestingly, I haven't really thought about this before, but I think your subconscious probably controls a lot of it because your subconscious is there to keep you alive and to take you, to avoid things that cause you discomfort.
Yeah, and keep you safe sort of thing.
Keep you safe. Yeah. So that fear response is probably part of your subconscious saying, look, we're surviving where we are. Let's just stay here because who knows what's around that corner? Who knows what's through that door? If we just wait here, we know we can survive.
But when outside of you something is changing, that means that you can't control that.
Yep.
So you are faced with that fear regardless. And I think for me, that's where I get into high anxiety and panic attacks is because I'm I don't know how to cope.
Yeah. But is that you don't know how to cope or you don't know how to move with it?
Yeah. It's really hard to describe because we were talking about this the other day. It's I can't even describe what it feels like or why it is the way it is. And I was even trying to feel into it energetically. Is it an energetic thing that's happening within me that's creating this physical response? Mm-hmm. Or is it the physical, or is it mental? I quite often like to dissect things, especially when it feels like they come out of the blue for me, dissect what part of me is perhaps fueling it or creating it, so that I can then help myself by focusing in on that area that helps balance the rest, creating that balance through finding, so, is my mind creating this? So for me, the panic attacks, quite often it can feel like I can just have higher resting anxiety, but they do tend to come out of nowhere is what it feels like.
Yeah.
So that for me, my belief is at the moment, I don't know if this is true or whatever, is that the mind isn't creating it. Because my mind is very good at creating a fearful response, and therefore I start to feel more anxious and things unravel. I've just been trying to figure out
where it comes from. See, I think it comes from your subconscious, and I think it's partly to do with emotion for you. And it's that fear of the unknown and I could be completely wrong, the fear of the unknown and the fear of the changing emotion and changing situations. And then that, like you say, living in the future. And as we've spoken about before, sometimes you just end up putting a negative tilt on everything. So rather than living in the future that could be positive, your mind's throwing up all the future negatives and uncomfortable positions that you could end up in. So your subconscious is sitting there going, well, no, because like we're not going to cope with that. Let's stay here. And
obviously, like for me, my situation is death of another one of our dogs put me into a very difficult place.
Yes.
And I think, that's a remembered fear and trauma. So that's like, there's a real fear of that happening again. But obviously, I'm not the same person I was.
Not at all.
Like, whatever it was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
6 years ago, I think. 6 years ago. So, like, the likelihood of that happening is less real. But then I wonder if, like, underneath that, there's even a belief about myself. Like a belief of I'm not strong enough, for example, or I can't cope. It's just like
also
that.
A little bit of a learned behavior of when this happens, I do this. And that's a belief. It's a learned behavior. It's this is the state we go into when we experience this. But the thing I find really interesting about you is that there's fear of moving past the uncomfortable state.
Well, I think, we weren't going to talk about grieving.
No. But
because it's very raw.
Fear is part of it.
But I think part of the grieving process, it feels to me, for me, I've only really lost a lot of animals that are close to me rather than the humans. And some people might invalidate one being more important than the other. But to me, the animals are just as important as losing a human friend. So that's where I'm at. Is for the grieving process for me, it's all about connection. And especially as I do a lot of energy work and connecting and like communicating with them and just feeling their energies and stuff. So when they physically go, the connection is kind of severed with the physical form of them. And certainly for like the first couple of days, that reaching for that connection that wasn't there was hard. Where was I going with this? I was talking about, so I think if it's to do, like for me, it's to do with connection, is feeling like if I'm not in this sad place, I'm not connecting with them.
Yeah.
And obviously, I very quickly realised that was not...
Silly. Yeah.
I tried not to put myself down there, but that was stupid.
Yeah.
Because when I was calm and feeling a bit lighter about life, that was when I could actually feel the soul connection.
Yeah. That's it. But it's like, I feel that fear is slightly different. The fear of changing situations is totally different for me. Because I think it's just because I've been through it a few times. The fear of stepping out into the unknown doesn't scare me in the slightest. Because I've learned through experience that we'll always make it happen and it's fine. But what I have a fear restriction from is fear of, it's not quite fear of failure, but fear of giving up.
Okay.
So I've known in previous places we've been, the decision to move on before I feel like I've accomplished what I wanted to accomplish gets a resistance which is fear-based, and it is from the I don't want to leave without having done, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's almost like if you haven't done, is like a sort of a whole intricate thing. Like if you haven't done what you set out to do, then you have failed.
Yes.
It's like what your subconscious, your mind is telling you. And then therefore you're like, well, we can't go until I've completed this. But it's like you're killing yourself trying to complete something that clearly isn't going to be the outcome now.
Yep.
So it's
So
time
like
to let
I
it go.
find those ones harder.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I don't think I have a fear of failure, like a massive fear of failure. But
Do you think it's a perceived?
well, actually, no, it probably is. I probably do have a fear of failure, but it's based off of my own like standards.
Yes.
So if I set a goal and achieve it and someone else thinks that I didn't hit the mark, well, that's their opinion and that's fine. If I'm comfortable with where I got to, okay. Yeah. But yeah, I must have a fear of failing marks that I make.
Yeah. And do you think that's like, because like one of the things that I have is sort of letting other people down or letting myself down. Do you think it's linked to that, or
it probably is something to do with that?
That sense of responsibility to yourself, and then
probably like one of the stories that I know I tell myself is that I can do anything.
Yeah.
And I'm very strong in the opinion that there's nothing that I can't do. I mean, pushing 40, it's probably not a good time to decide I want to become a lawyer or something like that. But if I wanted to be a lawyer, I could do. I could go and train or be a doctor. Or,
age is just a number. You can do what you want.
Age is just a number, I agree. But, I could go and train those things. I don't think there's anything stopping me back from doing that. So I think when I have a goal in mind and due to changing circumstances is no longer a good place to be, that then I struggle to move on without having achieved what I'd planned to achieve. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I remember that from when we worked on Ling.
Yeah.
Like it was hard to leave there.
Well, I think it was hard to leave every place.
Yes.
It was generally sort of my pushing an idea.
Yeah.
To sort of get the ball rolling to get us to move on, because I just could, the feeling was this is just an impossible task and it's time to move on and live in a different way,
That's it.
And even though that's hard, it was just like, just seeing instead of seeing it from the goals that aren't met, I was just seeing it from the life we were living.
Yes, which is probably a better way to do it.
Yeah.
I can get fixated on my plans and goals.
Yeah.
But like I say, I don't have a fear of the stepping out into the void.
No.
That doesn't scare me in the slightest. But it's that fear of not completing. And I suppose a lot of people will be that way. Yeah. That it's a fear of...
And it's like even if it's detriment to them health or themselves or their life.
That's the weirdest
thing. They insist, must finish this. It's like completion,
The completion. But then I still think that one's weird, but I think the fear of the unknown is weird because I don't like the situation, the relationship. I don't like the place I'm in. And I hate it. I want out of it and I want to move forward, but I'm too scared to move forward.
Well, it's because, and that's a real common one, isn't it? That fear of the unknown.
I think that one is really common.
So it's like, it's like my current fear, like that's my current situation is like moving on without Breagh here. Yeah. And how I do that.
But that's the thing. So I find that one odd. And I think it comes back to that story that I like to tell myself, if I can do anything, so moving on's fine because I can, it's just another step in the journey. It's another place to go. But I think we end up getting very stagnant in our lives. And you find sort of a place
where you're comfortable.
Yeah. I think that's the real thing. Where you're comfortable, but you can be comfortable with discomfort.
Or you can be uncomfortably comfortable.
Yeah.
Like you want to change things, you want to move it forward or do something different, and it's just overcoming that fear.
I think a lot of it is the fear, because I sit and thinking about this and talking about it. It brings to mind all those people who, I hate my job, I hate this, I hate that, I want to do that, I want to make the change. And you see, we watch a lot of these programs of people who, leave everything in the city and go and live in the country sort of thing. And I think there's a lot of people that have that desire, because they're uncomfortable where they are, but they're comfortable where they are being uncomfortable.
Well, I think it is as well. It's like the intricacies of your life, and then your logical mind putting all that together, and then the beliefs that you've been told. And, it's like there's a whole myriad of things that play into that fear and how you actually overcome it. And I think a lot of people just overcome it with, well, I'm doing it.
Well, I think eventually you get to a breaking point where it's like, nope, I'm doing it. But you're right. There's a whole pile of things that add on to that, because there's the, family perspectives and things like that.
Well, there's even there's, even though you're unhappy, there's the financial security of what you're doing or where you are. You have everything that, quotation, you should need.
Yeah.
As much as society maybe tells you, or you tell yourself, or you've been told.
Yeah.
But you're extremely unhappy, and that's
But then if you're being told, like you say, that you should be happy here, it's like the idea of, I don't know, a family of doctors and everyone's a doctor, and then the son becomes a doctor and doesn't like being a doctor. And, it's that sort of, well, I can't move, I want to move out of this, but I can't move out, I should be happy. And then that kind of puts you into there's something wrong with me. Because I should be happy here. Yeah. And then that gets you down a whole... Because
then you think, well... as far as I'm aware, and as far as, everyone's told me, this is all we need.
Yeah, this is where we should be.
And then I think there's this deeper realization that there's more to life than what society or you believe.
Yeah.
And not in the way, I know where you're going with this because I can read your mind. I'm not saying about purpose. I'm actually saying about is that money and, having the physical, that safety and all of that, it is important, like having somewhere safe that you can have your shelter, and we're on the hierarchy of needs.
Maslow's pyramid.
Yeah. And I think, there is that, but I think that the way that sometimes we fulfill that is not fulfilling us. Yes. Because we're very focused on some of the needs and thinking, well, that is the core essence of what we need, and not realizing that perhaps it's something else that...
That's it. And I think, so what I was kind of going to come in with was that I think for some people, use the example of the doctor again, that life as a doctor can be perfect. There's no discomfort at all.
Extremely fulfilling and...
And, the whatever situation it's in, it's just perfect for them. But you bring someone else into that and they could just absolutely hate it, and that's the difference, is that everyone has somewhere that they're happy. Mm-hmm. Even if you're not happy right now, there's somewhere out there where you would be happy. Or
somehow. It's like, so where, place is not always important.
That's true. It's not always place.
I think, I do think the importance is fulfilling your needs and understanding your needs, and everyone has different needs.
Yeah.
So some people enjoy like socializing a lot.
Yeah.
Because that fulfills them. They enjoy that. Mm-hmm. Some people enjoy alone time.
Yeah.
Some people enjoy hard physical exercise. Yeah. Some people, it's just like understand, and it's just all those little things help to fulfill you where you are.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can get so focused on work, surviving work, coming home, dealing with your family, living with your family, and then work again, that the sort of the additional needs that really fulfill your soul and fulfill your being aren't always being met. And it's like, in a way, looking at yourself, being aware of yourself, changing your attitude to what's important will allow you to actually see that you could probably be happy in the place you're at if you're fulfilling your needs in a certain way.
I think that one kind of comes back down to the taking the time and being in the moment.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, and I know I'm guilty of it, you spend your life trying to live in the future, trying to work to this. Now, if I rush through this, then I can get to that, and then I can do this, and I can get to this. And you're constant. And it's great to have goals and things ahead of you. But I think that's the thing, is you end up so focused on pushing forward, you're missing the now.
Yeah. And just kind of, I think it's time we looked outside the box of what society thinks our needs are. Yes. And really feel into what you want and what you need.
Whereas we've often talked about that the sort of the 2.4 children is kind of what you're brought up to believe that you should do. You should go to school, go to college, get married, or get a good job, get married, have kids, raise kids.
And like, that's a great life to live, as long as
that's what you want.
That's what you want, and you're also fulfilling. Like, I think there's more to life than that. You know, you're getting out, you're doing what fulfill, and I don't know what getting out is. It's different to everyone. You know, for us, getting out into nature, getting outdoors and adventuring, that's fulfilling for us. For some other people, it's something else, and I can't even say what it is because I'm not them. You know,
100%.
Kind of getting outside that box of just doing the minimum, I think.
Yes, I think so. But I think there's that sort of pressure that that's what you're meant to do.
Yeah. And I think people are starting to wake up to that. And I think
I would have said so, yeah.
The sort of the period of COVID time and seeing what your life's really like kind of allowed people to get an inkling, and some people it scared them more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
And some people, it made them radically change their lives because they realised, oh, wait.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's not what I wanted, and I really like this, and, you know.
That's it. But it's that fear that even when you see, I'd rather be over there, or I'd rather be doing it like this. But that fear kind of gets in the way, and you end up sticking where you are.
I really like, start where you are. Start where you are with what you've got.
Start where you are with what you,
And that, I think that's what I've been trying to say is, even though perhaps your situation isn't ideal and you have all these fears and beliefs about not being able to make radical change, we'll start making small change where you are with what you've got.
Every journey starts with a step.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's like the fear is that I think sometimes we feel like we need to do something radical and big. But when you do it small, you move into the space of doing it, that when it gets to doing bigger steps or a giant step, it just feels in flow. It feels right, rather than it being. So it's just like, it's like if you want to have your own property and do your own homestead or something like that, well, great. Start looking at where you can save more money to save money to do it. It's just, and that's one of the steps. So look at how you can do small homesteading things at home. It's just like there's a lot that you can do right now where you're at.
Yeah, without the big step.
If you actually focus on it and realize what you want and then start making the little steps towards it. And I think that's, sometimes we feel like it needs to be something drastic, but it doesn't. I think it just, in changing small things, you can make big differences.
Definitely. I think that is a big thing, is the just doing little steps towards something.
Yeah. And that, I think the fear thing as well is the same thing, is sometimes you feel like it has to be dramatic for you to be able to overcome the fear. But actually, again, break it all down into little steps. And it's just like, for my beginning steps was just stay in this moment, and then I won't feel the fear about the future and how I'm going to move forward. So it's like, it's fine, just stay in this moment, then that's where I'm at,
I think one of the things that it made me think of it when you said the saying that you really liked, one of the ones that I really like, and I think this goes hand in hand with it all, is at the end of your life, you never regret the mistakes you made. You only regret the opportunities you didn't take.
Yeah, the opportunities missed. Yeah.
And I think that's a big one that I always think about.
But that can also create a fear of, I should be doing that, I should be, and then you don't, you hold yourself there. So
that's true. You've got to find balance within it all. But that, a risky opportunity or a venture taken, and I've done plenty of opportunities that I've taken that haven't panned out, but I don't regret any
No.
of them. Some of them
They
I
were
look
all-
back on with, thinking it's a bit amusing that I tried that, but
Well, it's all part of the journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
You learn from these things. You grow from them. And actually, like, looking back on some of those, you can find real things that have allowed you to do more now
yes,
than
yeah,
you would have done. You know, it's
definitely.
just
They're all
like,
growth points.
yeah, exactly. Well, that was
All over the place?
yeah. Well, it was. We didn't really know because we talked about fear before, I think, on the podcast. But I think probably more the intricacies of where it comes from, how it works, a bit more possibly. But it was just like, yeah, it was just there
This
was
is kind of more fear holding you back.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it was interesting.
It was.
Well, thanks for joining me.